my today's topic is wound and its dressing. As if now I know that you have completed almost all aspects of wound, its wound healing, that its management and all. So I am not focusing on the theory part of wound. I am focusing on the practical approach or what you should follow in your clinical practice. That is the gist of my today's lecture. I hope this lecture will be informative for you and it will be help you in your future. So my today's focus is important points not to be missed in clinical practice. As if now you have seen n number of points. Everybody has focused his view. But in your clinical practice, there are some points you should not ignore or you should not miss in wound if you are taking care of that wound, if you are doing the wound healing, wound healing practice. It's the first part of my lecture. My second part of lecture is the Ashtavidha Vrana Chikitsa Vichar in clinical practice. You all know there are Shashti Upakram described by Acharya Sushruta for the Vrana. But I am not going in details of the Shashti Upakrama. I am focusing only and only 8 procedures, the 8 kriyas Sushruta has described in this Shashti Upakrama for wound management, for the Shodhan and Ropan of wound. So we will see that 8 upakrama and we will see how we can do that 8 upakrama in our clinical practice. And last but not least, how I do it. What are the secrets of my practice? What are the techniques I have developed for the wound healing of my practice, that is proctology practice. So the first point that I want to say, never ever ignore exudate. What is exudate? Exudate, the drain that sticks out of wound, can be called many things, but as a wound care clinician now, no, technical term is exudate. Exudate, that in our science we can say Suranastrav. Okay, so there are mainly 4 types of straw, that is discharge, that is exudate. One is serous discharge. Second is serosanguineous discharge. Sanguineous discharge and purulent discharge. These are the color of discharge. According to the color of straw of exudate which are oozing from the wound, we can treat the wound. Okay, so we will see some details about this. Types of exudate. First, I have already told you serous. What is serous? A clear, thin, and watery plasma. Is normal during the inflammatory stage of wound healing. The smaller amount are considered normal. However, a moderate to heavy amount may indicate a high bioburden. Next is sangiovese, a fresh bleeding seen in deep partial and full thickness wound. A small amount is normal during the inflammatory stage. Serosanguineous, thin, watery, and pale red to pink in color. Seropurulent, thin, watery, cloudy, and yellow to tanning color. The purulent, means first discharge. A thick and opaque exudate that is tan, yellow, green, or brown in color. It's never normal in wound bed and it's often associated with infection or high bacteria burden. So in your practice, you have to see the exudate, you have to see the amount of exudate, you have to see the color of exudate. Accordingly, the treatment differs. The treatment differs in modern, and treatment differs in Ayurveda also. The basic principles are same. Then again, the next thing I want to emphasize is about the biofilm. What is biofilm? Bacteria are known to form a protective polysaccharide coating, mainly in the chronic wounds, called a biofilm. This coating goes unrecognized by host defense and it is impermeable to most systemic and topical antimicrobial. So, what in our practice we have to get rid of this biofilm by the debridement. For this reason, the primary intervention of wound debridement is essential. This will disrupt this film and allow the permeation of beneficial host cell and interactive material from the dressing. Means what? A time comes when you need to debride the wound. without debridement, whatever you may apply, you may whatever material or dressing solution you apply with many ointment and you apply, if you have not disturbed that biofilm, the medicine won't act. So that's important. This slide is very important. This can be a gist of this presentation, that there are 4 basic principles involved in choosing an optimal dressing. Again, this dressing may be modern medicine or maybe Ayurvedic medicine. Our Ayurvedic principles are and allopathic principles are same somewhere. So these 4 things you have to keep in mind when you are dealing with any wound. If a wound goes to be dry and desiccated, it will need hydration. So just check your wound. How is the wound? Is it dry or desiccated? Then it needs hydration. If a wound produces excessive exudate, the fluid needs to be absorbed. If a wound has necrotic tissue or evident debris, it will need debridement. And lastly, if the wound is infected, it needs to be treated with the appropriate antibacterial agent. These 4 principles remain same in our whole treatment protocol. You can understand in this next slide also. Again, one can choose dressing material on the basis of stages of wound healing. You have all have learned till now the stages of wound healing. I am not going in detail of it. Just I am here to tell you which dressing material you have to use in that stage. Okay. There are 3 main stages of wound healing. First stage is inflammation. Second is proliferation. This proliferation stage is divided into 3 phases. First phase is granulation. Second phase is angiogenesis and contraction. Third phase is re-epithelialization, and the third stage of wound healing is maturation. Okay. So in every stage, each of these phases need to be treated differently to encourage a healthy transition into recovery. Now comes to the first stage, that is inflammation. Inflammation phase focus on the cleaning and preparing the wound bed for the rest of the healing process. Okay, so here you need to use the antiseptic solution. Aim is to protect the wound from infection. So to protect the wound from infection, use any antiseptic solution. The commonly used solution is betadine. The second stage, it is proliferation. Among it, the first phase is granulation. What is granulation? It begins rebuilding the damaged area of wound with the production of granulation tissue. Here, the granulation tissue starts forming. This tissue contains collagen protein generated by fibroblasts, resulting in the development of supporting network of connective tissue. So, in this stage, collagen dressing can be used to assist in process of collagen production, especially for wounds that are healing slowly at this stage. So, what we can use? We can use a collagen dressing, that is Cynorheal, or any other collagen dressing can be useful in this stage. The second phase is angiogenesis and contraction. What is angiogenesis? Angiogenesis is the process of rebuilding blood vessels within the wound. For this, here oxygen is allowed into the wound, which is very important at this stage. So for angiogenesis, oxygen is essential. Okay, so the dressing material should be like that, which can give the wound more oxygen. And the contraction begins once the connective tissue within the wound have been repaired and the body is ready for wound to be closed up. That is called the contraction. Here, we need some breathable wound dressing because wound need oxygen. So, when bandaging or non-bandaging of wound is essential here. We have our some concept in our science, that is bandha and abandha. I will talk about this concept in my later slide. Just keep this in mind, that here we need some breathable wound dressing. Here the wound should covered with gauze, also allows oxygen to pass. So we can use thin gauze for the dressing. Here padding is not essential. You can keep just a thin gauze which can permit oxygen towards the wound, or you can use the oxym spray. Where we can use the oxym spray? Oxym spray is essential when there is angiogenosis, not from the first day of wound dressing. Okay, so these are the small points you have to keep in your mind. Phase 3, that is re-epithelialization. Under proliferation, the phase 3 is re-epithelialization. During this phase, epithelial cells return to resurface the wound and complete the sealing process of affected area. Here what is important. During this stage, moisture is essential. Okay. Again, just keep this my word in this slide is important in my later on presentation. During this stage, moisture is essential in assisting the cells to move more easily beneath the scar tissue. Okay. Without a moist healing environment, scab becomes hard and epithelial cells struggle to migrate easily underneath the necrotic cells, possibly leading to permanent scarring. So, in this phase, we need to keep the wound moisture intact. In the first phase, when there is exudate formation, we need some dry dressing. Okay. Second stage, when there is angiogenesis, blood vessel formation, we need oxygen. In third phase, when there is epithelialization, we need some moisture. We need the wound environment should be moist. Okay. So here we can use the hydrogel dressing. Hydrogel dressing can be used to keep your wound hydrated and protect it from infection. Using hydrogel dressing during the reepithelialization period will keep the scar tissue moist and support the epithelial cell environment. So here you can use the hydrogel. Hydrogel should not be used from the first day of the wound. It should be used when there is proper formation of granulation tissue. Then only the wound is fresh, there is no discharge, then only you can use the hydrogel. The third phase, the last stage is maturation. After the proliferation, wound healing phases are complete. The wound enters the maturation stage, which can last for months or even years. So always educate the patient if there is scar or any fibrosis after the post-operative wound healing. Educate them that this is the maturation stage. Your wound is maturation stage. It will take months or years to become the normal scar tissue. Okay. So for our clinical practice, I have divided the commonly used dressing material, that solution, into these 4 groups. Antiseptic group, there is betadine. Defluffing solution like hydrogen peroxide and neosol. For the cleaning purpose, we can use spirit, ether, NS, Savlon. Anti-edematous, that is max dressing, and other is tincture benzoin. These are the commonly used drugs or common dressing material which is available in all general practice clinic or any other practitioner. So we need to learn which solution should be used in which condition, what precautions should be taken while using this solution, and where it should not be used. So first, the most favorite antiseptic solution used by all the practitioners is betadine. It's a germicide compound solution combined of iodine and OVD. Iodine has a good antiseptic property, but as well as some toxic properties are there, which can be harmful for the wound healing. So to minimize it, OVD is added. So the combination of iodine, and povidone is an antiseptic solution. It is used cleaning of unhealthy wound, part preparation during operation, gargle, and irrigation. Disadvantage, it causes more stain, or you cannot use a betadine in one patient for a longer time because it contains iodine. So you should take care that patient is hypothyroidism or hypothyroidism, that should be taken care because it contains iodine. Prolonged use of betadine can be harmful. Indication of betadine. As betadine is germicide, it has bacteriostatic as well as bactericidal properties. So, can be used up to the formation of healthy granulation tissue. So, in your inflammatory phase, you can use betadine safely. There are various forms of betadine. Betadine gargle, solution, scrub, and ointment. Each has different concentration. Betadine gargle is 2%, solution is 5 to 10%, scrub is 7.5%, and betadine ointment is 5%. Most favorite solution which everyone has in their house and in the clinic is Savalon. Savalon is a soap-based solution for cleaning of wound. It has a cleansing property. What you should keep in mind, always use Savalon in diluted form. Never use Savalon directly. It may cause burn. So always use Savalon in diluted form. Used for part preparation for surgery. It is used for keeping the chitters for safe. It is used as a hand wash, and you can use Savalon bath for the burns. These 4 points should be kept in your mind, right? More than 1% concentration of Savalon can cause death of superficial tissue. So use Savalon wisely and carefully. You always use Savalon which is freshly prepared, otherwise Pseudomonas growth can be there. Never use Savalon on genitalia because it may cause burn, and the burn is called the Savalon burn. Okay. After Savalon, always clean the raw area with NS. This point should be remember always. जैसे आपको मालूम है कि सोप से हाथ धोने के बाद, सोप लगाने के बाद वाटर से हाथ धोना उतना ही इम्पोर्टेंट है. वैसे ही आफ्टर यूज ऑफ Savalon, clean the raw area with NS because it forms a film which promotes the growth of Pseudomonas if present. So whenever you use Savalon on the wound, always use NS for the cleaning of that part. So it should be proceeded by NS only. Now there are most favorite this suffering solution everyone has, that is hydrogen peroxide. How hydrogen peroxide works? So what is the mechanism of hydrogen peroxide? The main mechanism, when it gets contact with the tissue, it liberates nascent oxygen. The mechanical dissolving by frothing. Whenever you put hydrogen peroxide on any wound, you see some frothing. This frothing causes mechanical dissolving. The septic action by thermocoagulation of small vessel. When there is a capillary bleeding or capillary wound, we can put the hydrogen peroxide balls on that portion and the bleeding stops. Why this stops? Because of this septic action. Due to this septic action, it causes thermocoagulation and bleeding will stop. It stimulates the granulation tissue. Where is the uses? What are the uses? It is used in cleaning and packing of abscess cavity, dislodging of healthy wound, cleaning of CLW prior to suture, and cleaning of compound fracture, that is open fracture. It may be there may be a dust. So hydrogen peroxide will remove that dirt and dust. The second most favorite dislodging solution in a practice is Usol. How is Usol formed? Usol is not very dramatic drugs. It's the combination of only 3 drugs, that is bleaching powder, boric acid, and distilled water. 12.5 gram of bleaching powder, which is freely available in market. 12.5 gram of boric acid, which is also freely available, and distilled water. The combination of 3 in this proportion form the usol. How usol works? In last slide, in hydrogen peroxide, we saw if when the hydrogen peroxide comes into the contact of tissue, it liberates nascent oxygen. Here, when this usol solution comes into the contact, it liberates nascent chlorine. Okay, this chlorine reacts with the protein and converts the slough into a soluble slough. Okay, so what is the key point? When there is slough which is loose, which is free from the wound surface, you can use hydrogen peroxide. And when the slough or the debris are adherent to the wound, they are stuck to the wound, then you have to use usol. This is the basic difference while using both these sloughing agents. Okay, so it's actually chemical desloughing agent. It is antiseptic. Type of application, you can use the usol bath, you can use the usol pack, or you can use the usol drip. A continuous drip on a wound can remove the debris of that wound, that slough on that wound. It made the slough into a soluble slough. Last but not least, the cleaning solution is normal saline. It's one of the gold standard solution for cleaning of any wound. If you are confused, if you don't know how to clean the wound, and you don't have anything to clean any wound, you can use normal saline, NS. NS is the best gold standard cleaning solution for any wound. It can be used for a wash. This slide also keep in mind, because when I am talking about the Ayurvedic principle, I will talk about this slide. Last but not least, spirit. Spirit is the thing which we are not using directly on the wound because it causes the irritation and pain. But where you can use this, you can at the injection site, cleaning of the suture line, during the part preparation to remove the excessive betadine, and one more, which is the one last one, to clean the peripheral skin of that wound. If you make a habit to clean the peripheral skin of wound, it will add more success in your wound healing, because the discharge which slips out, exudate which slips out from the wound accumulate on this peripheral wound. If you don't clean the peripheral skin, it will cause the secondary infection. So for the wound dressing, for the wound management, make an habit to clean that peripheral skin with spirit. Spirit is the best antiseptic solution, number one. But we cannot use it on directly on wound because it is irritant and it causes pain. But you can use it on the intact skin. So here ends the first part of my lecture of the modern aspect and modern solution which we can use in your daily practice. Now the second part is about the Ayurvedic concept. Which Ayurvedic products or which Ayurvedic theory we can apply while the wound management. So you all know there are Shashti Upakrama. So Sushruta has described in his Chikitsa Stans that the Shashti Upakrama. They are from the shlok number 11 to shlok number 132. As we all know, when Sushruta starts with any Upakram, suppose he has started with Upakrama Apatarpan. So Apatarpan comes at shlok number 11. Apatarpan, Alep, Parishek, and other, and the last one is Raksha Vidhan. So Raksha Vidhan is the shlok number 31. So all 60 Upakrama should be in sequence. Okay, this is our assumption. But at the shlok number 52, he starts with the Ashtavidha Vrana Upakram. What are the Ashtavidha Vrana Upakram? that is kashaya, varti, kalka, sarpi, taila, rasakriya, avachurna. They are for the shodhana ropana of this wound. After avachurna, in this its tika, he says शोधना पुनः अष्टविध कषाय वर्ती कल्क घृत तैल रसक्रिया चूर्ण धूपनेन. So we assume that kashaya is started, then he told about varti kalka घृत. After dhupan he should shift on the another shashti upakrama. But what happened in Sushruta Chikitsastan 1, that same Shashti Upakrama, on shlok number 51, he says about the Kashaya, next Varti, Kalka, Grutta, Taila, Rasakriya, in the same sequence, 52, 53, 54, 55, up to 60. But this Kashaya is specifically for the Shodhan. Shodhana Kashaya, indication and Kalpa use. Shodhana Varti, indication and Kalpa use. Shodhana Kalpa, Shodhana Grutta, Shodhana Taila, Shodhana Rasakriya, Shodhana Churna. Sorry. This all are for the only Shodhana. This up to the shlok number 52 to 60. In shlok number 61, he says, after using the above treatment, that Kashaya, Taila, Varvarti and all, the Vran should become Shuddha. The Vran should become Shuddha. Divasala, Madhush, Lakshmi, Vedana, all. The Vran should become Shuddha. And when the Vran becomes Shuddha, then he again says about Kashaya, Varti, Grutta, Taila, Raskriya and Churna. Shlok number 61 to 72. Again he repeat all this kalpa, but now they are in a ropan form. Ropana Kashaya is indication and kalpa. Ropana Varti is indication and kalpa. Ropana Kalvrutta, Ropana Taila, Ropana Rasakriya and Ropana Churna. So every kalpana has its own indication and has different drugs. This point you should be taken into your consideration. After then the magic happened. After shlok number 71, he goes to shlok number 74 and says what he says. Esha agama siddhatvat तथैव फलदर्शनात् मंत्रवत् संप्रयोक्तव्यो न मीमांस्य कथचन. मैंने अब तक जो शोधन रोपण का बताया है, आप उसे मंत्र की तरह प्रयुक्त करो, मंत्र की तरह प्रयुक्त करो. इसमें दिमाग मत लगाओ, किसी प्रकार के विचार की भी आवश्यकता नहीं है. न मीमांस्य, कोई मीमांसा मत करो. कथचन, मैंने जो कथन किया है उसकी कोई मीमांसा न करते हुए उससे मंत्रवत. तो ही so sure, he is so firm on his statement that मैंने अब तक आपको जो सप्त उपक्रम बताया है व्रण के शोधन और रोपण के लिए उसे ऐसे ही इस्तेमाल करो. तो you will get the फल दर्शनात्. आपको उसका फल दर्शन माने आरोग्य प्राप्ति होगी. अगर आपको बुद्धि लगानी है, स्वबुद्ध्याचापि भजेत्, बुद्धि लगानी है तो आप कहाँ पे लगाओ? पेशजानी यथा योग. मेडिसिन चूज करते समय आपकी बुद्धि लगाओ. बाकी मैंने जो आपको स्टैंडर्ड प्रोटोकॉल बताया है उस प्रोटोकॉल में आपकी बुद्धि मत लगाओ. ऐसा सुश्रुत जब कंफर्म रहता है तो उसके पीछे कुछ तो हिडन मीनिंग है, उसके पीछे कुछ हिडन थिंग है that we have to understand. And if we are Ayurvedic practitioner, we are promoting Ayurveda, then we have to focus on this thing. We have to understand the concept behind what he has told that you should apply. Mantravata, just apply it like a mantra. Bheshaj, you can choose any bheshaj. He has no objection. So we'll come to the Kashaya. Every wound, when you handle with any wound, the dressing starts with Vrana Prakshalan. There is no, in any therapy, in any medication, Ayurvedic, allopathy, naturopathy, homeopathy, you go anywhere, when there is a wound dressing always starts with Vrana Prakshalan. The first step of wound dressing is Vrana Prakshalan. He said, Udaka for the dressing purpose. When he Agra Sangadya Adhyay, when he told about the incision and all, he said clean the wound with udak. So udak from Sushruta side is one of the Vrana Prakshalana Aushad. So when we, in my previous slide, I told you just keep in mind NS, normal saline. When you don't know how to clean the wound, you can use NS. Like Sushruta says, if you don't know anything, use Udak as Vrana Prakshalan. Or you can use Kashai. The Kashai of two types. You can't use any Kashai for anything. There are two types of Kashai. It is Shodhana Kashaya and Ropana Kashaya. The indication of Shodhan Kashaya, Durgandha, Kledavanta, Pichila, Mane Dushtavrana. If there is Dushtavrana, then only you can use the Shodhana Kashaya. He says Aragvadadi Kashaya. Aragvad is a drug which is freely available, which is authentically available, which has property of sanskran. What is sanskran? He removes the dosha, pachit and apachit. It's the good quality of Aragvada. So Aragvada what you can use for Purana Prakshalan, or if you don't have anything, you can use Triphala Kashaya. Triphala is also a best Shodhana Dravya. So you can use Shodhana Kashaya. If you are using Triphala, use it in the Dushta condition, Dushta Vrana. What is Ropan Kashaya? Whenever your wound becomes Shuddha, Avedana, Niratrava, they are the Shuddha Lakshana. When your wound becomes Shuddha, and you want to do the Vrana Prakshana, because Vrana Prakshalan is essentially in any stage of wound healing, which we have seen in previous slides. In any stage of wound healing, you need to do the Vrana Prakshalan. Here, you can do the Vrana Prakshalan with Vattadi Kashay, or you all know Panchavalkal Kashay. When you want to use Panchavalkal Kashay, you can use that Kashay in Ropana as a Ropana Kashay. Now the clinical problem is there. We can't prepare fresh Kashay every time. It is not feasible that for every patient or a single patient you go prepare a Kashay and wash it with the Kashay, because only washing is not a treatment. We have to apply something after that. So for that, what we can do? There are Kashay granules available. 8 minutes. Hello, 8 minutes.
Yes, madam, no problem.
So just a minute. There is some technical problem. Is there?
No problem, madam. Take your time.
Can you see my slide? Is it visible?
Not yet.
Is it visible?
No, madam, not yet. You will have to share screen again.
I'm trying. I have already shared.
Madam, click on the share button again.
Yeah. It comes.
Then it will be closed. Now you have to share again.
Okay. I have done. Yeah.
Yes.
It's possible. So if you can't prepare kashaya every time, what you can do? You can use the available granules. Kashaya granules are freely available in the market. You can put that kashaya granule in distilled water or plain water and prepare a kashaya. Keep that kashaya in the spray bottle, which we are using currently in this COVID period for this sanitizer. Put that kashaya solution in that spray bottle and you can spray that kashaya on the wound for the vrana prakshalan. Okay. Then comes the varti. Second kalpana is the varti kalpana. Then where you can use the varti, varti is indicated for any sinus. There are some shodhana varti and some ropana varti. What is the indication of shodhana varti? Shodhana varti is used when there is shalya inside it, shalya yukta. We can say pus or pupuya is also a kind of shalya. Means discharging sinus can be where we can apply the shodhana varti. How to use the shodhana varti? Yatha samam. Always increase the size of varti gradually. Which varti you can use? Ajagandhadi, Ajagandhadi varti you can use, or you can use plain Kshara which we are using in the fistula. You can use that Kshara as a varti in this Shalya Yukta sinus. Where you can use the Ropana varti. When the sinus is avedana, shuddha and nirasrava, when there is no non-discharging dry sinus, you can use the Ropana varti, Ashwagandhadi varti you can use. Then comes about the kalka. Where we are using the kalka? Kalka is for the vrana achhadanaya. Always you have to cover the wound. For the covering of wound, he has explained about the kalka. When you need to be cover the wound with the kalka, when the wound needs debridement. If your wound needs debridement, there is Putimansa Pratichana, there is fluff over there, there is Mahadosha which need debridement. Only Shodhan and Ropan dressing won't help. Where you need a debridement, for this debridement, he has described the kalka. Which kalka? Kasisadi kalka or Nimbadi kalka. You can achhadan. You keep the achhadan on that wound of this kalka. When you can use the Ropan kalka, in case of debridement, after debridement, the wound which are after debridement, apeta puti mangsana, after debridement, you found that wound is non-healing. You had debrided the wound, but now you found after debridement also it is not healing. Then you have to achhadan this vrana with this ropana kalka. And which kalka you can use? Madhu yukta tila kalka. It's tila kalka mixed with madhu, which is indicated when there is after the debridement. We see a number of wounds, we debride them, and then we found that after debridement also there is no healing or delay healing. In that case, he has described kalka. So you can use this kalka at this condition. Now growth. In market you found n number of growth for the wound dressing, but if you learn the text precisely, you will find The Gruta Kalpana for wound management is for the post-operative wound. First, we will see about the Ropan Gruta. For that, he says the indication is Pitta, Rakta, Visha, Agantuja, and Gambhira. All considered as a post-operative wound. This post-operative wound called dressing or dressing material we should use. You can use the Grita. Which Grita? Not a simple Grita. Ropanagana Grita with Kshira Siddha Grita. Kshira Siddha Grita is indicated when some medicine, open medicine with Kshira Kwas, then Siddha Grita is indicated in post-operative wound dressing. And where is the Shodhana Grita? Post-operative one, but when there is wound dehiscence, wound in gapping is there, then you can use the Shodhana Grita. Pitta Dosha Pradhana Gambhira Dahpaka Pidita. Here you can use the Shodhan Gruta, Katita, Ajaganda, Karpasa, Siddha Gruta. This Gruta is indicated for post-operative wound dressing. Tail, we find in our practice n number of tail for wound dressing. Shodhan tailor, Ropan tailor, Yamu tailor, Town tailor. But where is the tailor indicated? When we should apply tailor on wound? When there is a dry wound. If you remember my previous slide, when there is moisture in the wound healing stage, when there is moisture needed, wound should be moist. Then at this stage, you can use the Taila Kalpana. So for the Ropan tailor, Kapha Vata Prakopa means contraction. When there is a wound contraction, we can use Taila dressing. Shodhan tailor, Uttanna Mansa, Asnigdha Mansa, Alpa. When there is a hypergranulation, and you want to do the dressing of such wound, here you will use the Shodhana taila. So Shodhana Dravya Siddha taila, Tarshap tail, Stikli tail, here you can use when there is a hypergranulation. Rastakriya, this is very interesting kalpa in Sushruta. Rastakriya. When you want to close the wound or cover the wound for 3 days, you are not going to open the wound for 3 days, and you want to do the dressing, then you can use the Rastakriya. Ropana Rastakriya is used when there is a Abandhya, Chala Sandhi Sthita. When there is, if you remember my previous slide, when there is no need of bandage, wound need oxygen, then it is called Abandhya. Chala Sandhi Sthita, when we can't keep the bandage over here, so we can apply the paste, which will work as a wound dressing or as a bandage. The both aims will be achieved by Rasakriya. Shodhana Rasakriya, where you can use Shodhana Rasakriya, till now Shodhan not achieved. The previous 6 Upakram you have done, till you find that there is no Shodhan achieved. The serum ulcer, the slough is there, means we can say the chronic non-healing ulcer. In chronic non-healing ulcer, we can use Rasakriya. The paste should be applied for 3 days and remove after 3 days. So this is the point of research for the upcoming researcher. Churna, dusting powder. Where should use the churna? The churna should be used, the Shodhan churna is used for a Gambhira and Durgandhavrana, that is lacerated wound. That is just laceration, you can use a dusting. Which dusting, Shodhanavarti content churna you can use as the dusting. Ropana for the some Hiramamsa, focus for this, you can use the Ropana churna for dusting. That is Triphala and Lodravi churna. Then comes the my favorite topic is Bhupan. Bhupan is the thing which Sushruta has described from the day 1 of the wound. We can use Bhupana from day 1 till the wound healing. It is used in Vatatmaja, Ugraruja, and there is Strav, Shauma Yavasarpi Bhupa. This Till now, we have completed the modern aspect. We have completed the Ayurvedic theory part and the practical approach. Now comes about the third part, how I do it. As you all know, as per the introduction given by Dr. Shashikesh, I have most of the patient of anorectal disorders, and I have to deal with the anorectal post-operative wound. While dealing with anorectal post-operative wound, I keep in mind these four things. First is proper.
Hello, hello, madam.
हाँ बोल ना.
Your voice
Hello.
got break in the last minute.
एकच मिनिट.
हाँ.
आता येतोय का?
Yes, yes, yes. Continue. No, madam, it is not coming.
हाँ हाँ ठीक आहे मी जरा
Okay, okay.
आतोय ना.
हाँ.
There should be proper drain. Okay. Second thing is very important is sitz bath. We'll see about it. Sitz bath has a crucial role in post-operative wound healing of anorectal diseases. Third, which I have developed in my 20-year practice, I train my patient for the self-dressing. So what is self-dressing? I will teach you. So I encourage my patient for the self-dressing. Patient does his dressing by his own. And the fourth, last but not least point is the frequency and consistency of stool. Whenever you deal with any post-operative anorectal patient, always focus on the stool, the consistency and frequency. The frequency should be once in a day and consistency should be soft. So you have to adjust your diet, you have to adjust your medicine accordingly so that patient will get stool once in a day and soft stool. It will help in your post-operative wound dressing, wound healing. So what is the key factor in anorectal wound care? It's a sitz bath, and sitz bath. Sitz bath has a crucial role, essential role in anorectal wound healing. You cannot avoid sitz bath in anorectal post-operative wound. Each and every wound, it may be piles, fissure, fistula, anything. Patient should advise to take sitz bath twice or thrice in a day. It will help a lot. It will help to relieve pain. It will help to relieve spasm. It will cleanse the wound and it will promote healing. Okay. So that is sitz bath. How I do it? Sitz baths, do's and don'ts. I never ever ask my patient to put potassium permanganate in sitz bath. I am against it. This is my practice. I am not, in my 20 years, I have not advised my single patient for the potassium permanganate sitz bath because it's cause irritation, skin get irritated, skin get stained, his whole bathroom gets stained, and there is always a stigma in the patient's mind that I have something with like anorectal disease. So there other options are there for this sitz bath. That is, you can use a handful of salt. Why handful of salt? I will tell you. I ask the patient to put handful of salt in water. I ask them to put salt, fitkari, trifala churna according to the condition. Or sometimes in fistula patient, I advise them to take a nimba patrakvat sitz bath. Then comes a why handful of salt. If you go for the chemistry, some basic knowledge, 1 liter NS, normal saline, is made up of 8.5 gram of NaCl and 1 liter of water. If you add 8.5 means 9 gram of salt in 1 liter of water, you will get 1 liter of NS. For any patient for a sitz bath, you need 3 liter of water. So the formula comes, a handful of salt. Handful of salt may be 20 to 25 gram of salt. So every time patient can't weigh the salt, no? So ask the patient to put handful of salt in the sitz bath water. Here the concept of both Ayurveda and allopathy comes. Here it becomes a normal saline. Normal saline is a gold standard cleaning material, if you remember my previous slide. So when you don't know anything, you can't do anything, you can put just a handful of salt in not in hot water and ask patient to take a sitz bath. It will help. It will cleanse the wound. It will clean the wound. Okay. Then comes the next phenomena is self-dressing. What is self-dressing? Self-dressing is thing that patient does their dressing by own. How? I ask the patient to take a sitz bath. During sitz bath, train the patient to do the contraction and relaxation of sphincter. Whenever patient sits in the water, for first 5 minutes, ask him to just contract and relax the sphincter. This mechanism will help to relieve the spasm of that muscle. This mechanism will help to enhance the blood flow. This mechanism will help to get the debris of the wound. So ask the patient to contract lesion, and this after 5 minutes, the whole area will become painless. It become numb. And ask the patient, train the patient to clean the wound with his own blunt fingertip. Train him to assess his wound, train him to clean the wound with that same salt water. Because again, normal saline is the best dressing material. Ask the patient to clean the wound with that salt water. After salt water, ask him, after sitz bath, ask the patient to wipe the wound with tissue paper and cotton after the sitz bath. And ask him to keep a dry, soft cotton in between the buds to prevent the friction. This everything is called the self-dressing, and this is very useful. This is very useful for you also to train your patient because the patient says that after sitz bath he feel very, very nice. So just take advantage of that very, very, very nice काम. जब वो पानी में बैठेगा उसका पेन खत्म होगा. Ask him to clean the wound when he is in that water only. Okay. The second thing which I practice in my practice is dhupan. Rada, agaru, gugul, nimbapatra, ajmoda churna. I mix them all, add some ghee, and make a soft ball. Use small cherry size ball on electric dhupan machine and ask patient to take 7 to 10 minutes of dhupan for large or deep fistulectomy wound. It will encourage the good healing of wound. The next thing which I am practicing that is use of my little finger in wound assessment. You all know index finger is used for PR. Index finger is a yantra of proctologist. But for me, with the index finger, I use my little finger because I use the index finger for PR. Then I need a one finger which will assess the wound, and that another finger will be my little finger because I can assess the cavity. I can assess its depth. I can clean that wound with my blunt little finger. So I can apply jelly and I can assess the depth. So I have practice for a good wound management. I use my little finger. Use of index finger that you all know. In proctology, index finger is must. This can apply jelly in PPR examination. With the index finger, I assess and press the internal opening of fistula to get rid of that discharge. That discharge will get escaped from the external opening. That exudate should be removed. So I press the internal opening. I check the spasm or any other secondary submucosal abscess or hematoma in the post-operative period. So I use my little finger and index finger in post-operative wound management of proctology. Next point, I use Shara Sutra and Sharavarti packing in pre-operative of fistula. It will help me for fistulogram. It helps me for MRI of fistula. The track gets open. It's easy for me to probe the patient and apply the Shara Sutra. For that, I use Sharavarti packing for 3 to 5 days prior to my fistula surgery. Second is the intermediate use of Sharasutra in fistulectomy only. Again, we have seen the Varti packing, Shodhana Varti packing. Whenever I need some debridement should be there, I use Sharasutra. I keep the Sharasutra in that wound. And I take care of drainage and maintain the slope of that wound, which is very essential. Always there should be a proper slope. The exudate or the drain should escape. The serous which is coming from the wound should be escaped from the wound. It should not be trapped like a gutter. So there should be proper drainage and should maintain the slope. I mostly use dry gauze dressing during early stage because dry gauze will promote the oxygen transmission. Dry gauze will absorb the excessive exudate and it will promote the healing. I will intermediate use of Sharasutra, Sharvati packing. I use Jatkaji with the gauze for dressing in late stage, and I regularly use Rupan for the deep. This thing I do in my practice.